Right, and we are live. Hey everybody, I'm Stuart, and this is MLM for CEOs, the channel that is aimed at providing key insights to company owners operating within this lucrative multi-level marketing space. I'd like to begin by thanking our sponsors, NetReady, for making this episode possible. In this episode, we're going to be doing part 2 of the top 10 reasons why MLM is the ultimate route to market for your business. And here to help me unpack this information is a man still in his festive Christmas spirit. It's Richard Sletcher.
Hey, nice to see you, Stu.
I'm so glad that you continue to wear this top.
Yeah, well, you said I must wear it every week, so
Thank you so much.
so yeah.
I appreciate you.
So what can I say?
So let's dive straight into this. I know this is a follow-on from part 1 of the top 10 reasons why.
Can you remember which ones we dealt with?
I've got a list.
Okay, cool.
Off the top of my head, definitely not, but the list helps. So let's get straight into it, Richard.
Okay, go for it.
So the first thing, well, the sixth thing, is that there are no marketing and advertising costs to running a business within this space. Is that true?
Yeah, 100%. And it's not that there's no marketing and advertising. It's that there's no marketing and advertising cost.
Okay.
So I want you to imagine you've got a team, let's say 30,000 people, and you give each one of them 5 posts that they can put on to Facebook.
Sure.
Okay, and each one of them puts the posts on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
and each post gets, let's say, 100 impressions.
Yeah.
Which is peanuts. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so now you got 30,000 times 5 times 100.
15
How much
million.
is that? You got 15 million exposures. How much did it cost you?
Not a cent.
Exactly. And so what you're doing in the MLM space is you're leveraging the ability of your network to advertise. Now, I've seen networkers advertise by putting adverts into newspapers and into magazines and online, which they pay for.
Sure.
And I've seen the networkers do all sorts of online marketing, which they are paying for. And the beauty is, cost the company nothing.
Yeah.
So to get that kind of exposure the traditional way, what would it cost you for 15 million
Impressions.
impressions?
No, a lot.
Let's
lot
say
of
it was
dollars.
10 cents an impression. That is 15 million and $1.5
$1.5
million
Yeah.
to get that kind of impression level.
Mm. Versus a zero price tag.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
One of the really great techniques that I know you've used in your previous companies is that of rear window vinyl. Love this idea because that exposure on the road, on the back of vehicles, that's moving billboards all across
Exactly.
the country, the city, or territories.
Exactly.
I think it was 10,000 people that you had in the network.
Acorn Kids, yeah, we had 10,000 full-time mom, part-time business Acorn Kids driving around Cape Town, South Africa.
Amazing.
Now it's 10,000. They were half a square meter each.
Right.
So that's 5,000 square meters of moving media. Now, what would it cost you for 5,000 square meters of media?
I mean, billboards are so expensive now.
Exactly.
And they sit in one place.
Yeah,
Now
exactly.
you have moving billboards all across the country. It
Yeah.
costs you nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that technique in terms of marketing your brand, getting out there and being in people's
100%.
face.
100%.
There's a lot of confidence that it inspires in your brand to be seen everywhere, that other people are adopting it and they feel that they've adopted it so positively that they'd stick it on the back of their vehicle
Exactly.
that they drive every day.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
So zero marketing costs.
Yes, exactly.
it.
Love it. But massive amounts of marketing.
Right.
That's the beauty. It's not just the zero cost. It's offset by the fact that you couldn't buy the amount of marketing you get with the network.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not affordable.
Right. And if you're clever with the business, you can understand the different ways that you can market or your network can market on behalf of your company without having to pay a cent.
100%.
Okay. So the 7th one is low instances of fraud. Talk me through it.
Well, the thing is that you know the people. It's a KYC thing. You've got to have their banking details. You need to know how you're paying them commissions. And then when they are talking to people, they're talking to their friends and their family.
Sure.
So for the most part, you get zero fraud. In all of the years of running Acorn Kids, we didn't have one single fraud case because everybody knows everybody. And if somebody doesn't pay or tries to do something underhanded, you phone the upline and say, hey, your mate Stuart did X, Y, and Z. Please go and chat with him.
Sure.
And then there's like egg on everybody's face. So you're not dealing with like kind of the unknown sort of scam artist out there. You're dealing with people who you actually connect with. You get their ID number, you get their banking details, you know who they are, and they go out and do the business for you.
Yeah. What about things like member terms and conditions and having that all in place to prevent any fraudulent
Well, you see, the
cases?
thing is, people who commit fraud, they don't care about your terms and conditions.
Right.
They come in
They
and
just do it.
defraud you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the beauty is that it's quite a low instance. When you're running an e-commerce store where you're just out there,
Yeah.
the instance of fraud there is very high.
Okay.
And remember that the risk is all on the company, because if somebody pays you with credit card, okay, the credit card company, let's say somebody uses your credit card to buy off my site.
Yeah.
The credit card company doesn't care. What they do is they take the money from me. They give it back to you. They don't lose anything.
Yeah.
You don't lose anything. Me, as the e-commerce store, we carry all the risk. And so that is what's very, very scary in terms of traditional e-commerce, because the fraud is high there.
Right.
But if you know your people,
Right.
you know your client, then it just brings the fraud levels way, way, way down.
Okay.
It still happens, but
Sure. Minimal cases. Okay. Let's go into the next one, which is, and I love this, which is, as I expand my business, I want to become a global entity. I want to reach new territories.
Yeah.
So this one is global expansion.
super powerful.
Yeah.
So obviously your first thing is you've got to have your product must be sellable in those regions. So, I mean, if you're selling lotions and potions, you have to get them approved. If you're going into Europe, for example, you have to get them approved. But let's assume that your product is approved and you can sell it anywhere in the world. Okay? Now it's real cool. You got 30,000 people in, let's say, Germany, and you go to them and say, listen, we want to launch in France. Who do you know? I guarantee you, between those 30,000 people, they will know 30,000 people in France. And because you've now got a success story and the guys know how much money they can make, etc., you get rapid expansion into France. Now, when you say, okay, we're going to launch in Italy, you got 60,000 people who you go to and say, who do you guys know in Italy?
Yeah.
So it makes launching in Italy twice as fast. Now you got 90,000 people. You want to launch in Spain or Portugal, wherever. Every time you launch a new region, you're taking it off the back of the global network that you've already got. And so those people who are clever never launch everywhere at once. They always keep it tight in one area until they've got some traction, and then they leverage that team, generate a huge amount of excitement. We're launching in Paris. This is the launch day. Get your leaders on board. Get everybody registered, blah, 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 boom, and you go for it.
Sure.
And you just get this explosive growth. Now, where could you do that? In what other industry can you do that?
You can't.
You know, now you've got to go to all the retailers. You've got to try and get them to list your products, and then you've got to do advertising and marketing. And here, who do you know in Paris?
Sure.
Great. We're having a big meeting in Paris on Thursday. Get your people there. Boom. 500 people, 1,000 people, 2,000 people in the room. Present it. You're up and running. When Amway launched in South Africa, there were queues around the blocks all over South Africa for people wanting to join Amway.
Yeah.
So Amway went from zero to hero in like a couple of days because they had a global network all looking for people in South Africa. And so South Africa just exploded. They did the same thing in India. When they launched in India, who do you know in India? Distributors flew from the States and from Australia and from South Africa, from all over the world, flew to India to actually be part of driving the new Indian business.
Wow.
So, you know, so that's what the global expansion on the space. Getting your first country up to speed is difficult. The second country, much easier. By the time you're rolling out to the fourth or the fifth region, it is just simplicity itself.
Sure.
You go in, you set up the logistics, you make sure your products are available, you hit the ground running.
There's obviously certain complexities to that. It's powerful in its nature, but the complexities are, and you mentioned KYC, to know your customer, know who your target audience is there, because the culture, the way that they operate is very different from country to country. But what makes it easier is that I'm sitting in Germany, you're sitting in France. We know each other. And I can approach you based on how you operate in that space.
Exactly.
Very, very powerful.
Very, very powerful. And it's effective, you know. And we had South Africans who went to India to sign up people. But what you miss is that there are hundreds of thousands of Indians living in South Africa.
Yeah.
Or in London. Or there's hundreds of thousands of French people living in the UK or in wherever.
Yeah.
And so when you approach these people, it's not just like some arbitrary, I might know somebody. It could be family and friends, people they've known their whole lives. So when you break into those new countries, you'll be amazed at who knows whom. Some people know nobody. Other people know 50 people.
Sure. But at least one person knows one person on average.
On average.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. The ninth point, we are 9 already. How did we do that?
I don't know.
Nine.
First day with the new teeth.
Is we can sell absolutely anything down the network.
Yeah. I've seen anything
power.
from motor cars to
Learjets.
Well, I haven't seen a Learjet sold, but that would be quite
great.
a cool one to sell. But I've seen cars. We've been part of networks. We've actually run a client of ours who had a network selling motor cars, right down to lotions, potions, digital products, whatever.
Training material,
Training.
big houses. I mean, there's big companies right now.
Absolutely. MLM house
Sure.
market, 100%.
Yeah.
Crypto, just so many ways that you can push a product down the network.
Yeah. And why is that? Why can we just sell anything?
Because what is the most powerful mechanism of selling anything is word of mouth, isn't it?
Of course.
Nothing sells like word of mouth. If you tell me about a product that you love, chances of me buying it are high. And so what we're doing here is we're leveraging the most powerful marketing mechanism in the world, word of mouth. And all we're doing is formalizing the word of mouth marketing. That's what we're doing. And so it doesn't really matter what the product is. The person needs to be passionate about the product. The product needs to be some sort of desirable product, and then you can sell it. And whether it's a car or Smarties,
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Formalizing word of mouth.
That's what we're doing.
That is a very powerful line.
Have I never said that to you before?
No, I don't think
How
so.
rude.
I know. You've been holding back on me.
Holding back.
Let's go into the last one, which is, and I think this is above everything else. This is one of my favorites. It's a social passion, and I know you share the same, which is changing the world for tens of thousands of people as a company owner.
Well, look, I mean, South Africa is a prime example of that. We've got such unemployment. 52% of our key demographic between the age of 24 and 35 is unemployed. Don't have a job. Half our people in that key work demographic just don't have a job. So having a business where you can provide a infrastructure for an individual to leverage for his own profit or loss is a good thing.
Sure.
And to create a situation where they can put food on their table and a roof over their heads and get their dignity back, I think it's huge.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, when I look at what's happening with artificial intelligence and I look at what's happening with robotics and automation, I think that we're going to have a lot more people looking for work in the future.
Yeah.
And I think MLM is going to be a place where they can find a home,
Yeah.
where they can do something meaningful and retain their dignity and put food on their table and put a roof over their heads. And that's the number one reason why I'm in this industry. The number one reason.
Something like COVID was only a small glimpse at what could happen when when devastation hits or changes in the world hits and people are out there looking for jobs. And we saw in the NetReady business that we 3x the company.
Yeah, the business just exploded.
Just because people were looking for alternate income streams and they found a home there. But what happens with the permanent phase of AI coming into the workspace and making many, many, many jobs redundant? It's going to be absolute devastation to the job market. Now
and we're going to be there to pick up the pieces.
Yeah.
Because I cannot see a universal basic income working. I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah.
I think that people are going to want to generate above average income, and they are going to want to deal with people. They're going to want to be connected. And I think MLM is, and it proved it through COVID. We had a 3x in the business. So it proved that is actually what happens when jobs go west. The people come to, they flooded into the MLM space hand over fist. So I think that's going to be the case as we move into the future.
Sure. Okay. That's our top 10 reasons.
Okay.
Summed up.
Perfect.
Nice, beautiful bow. Richard, thank you so much.
Pleasure, my friend.
Who's Richard?
Wretched. That's what my brother calls me, wretched.
Thank you so much for your time. Guys out there, thank you for your time and enjoying this part 2 of the top 10 reasons why MLM is such a powerful route to market. Please follow us on all of our social platforms. We're on YouTube, LinkedIn, and listen to us on Spotify. We will see you for the next episode. Thank you to our sponsors, NetReady, for making this possible. See you next time. Cheers, bye.